This morning is Tobias Omondi. Now, to start it off, the bulletin this morning, we started off with tensions rise in Tanzania as a government bans Independence Day protests, and tensions intensified across Tanzania on Monday night after President Samia Suluhu Hassan's administration declared planned nationwide demonstrations illegal. Now, the protest, organized by opposition supporters and scheduled for Tuesday, Tanzania's Independence Day, were intended to challenge the government's leadership and alleged governance failures. Now, the announcement triggered widespread concerns, with human rights organizations urging authorities to guarantee the safety of citizens who may still choose to participate. And in Dar es Salaam, major shopping centers experienced a surge in activity as residents rushed to stock up on supplies following a government directive advising the public to remain indoors. And Interior Minister George Simba Chawene reiterated the government's position, stating that Tuesday's demonstrations are unlawful. Delivering President Suluhu's message to the nation, Prime Minister Mwigulu Nchemba called on Tanzanians to stay home unless engaged in essential services. Meanwhile, Tanzanian police have arrested several activists linked to the planned demonstrations, prompting strong condemnation from regional human rights defenders. Now, former Kenyan Governor Kivutha Kibwana criticized the arrests, accusing the administration of sidelining constitutional freedoms. Here are some of the details from this story.
Nimewaita hapa kujaribu kutumia vyombo vyenu vya habari kuwaambia Watanzania maandamano hayo ni haramu, hayaruhusiwi.
Serikali inawashauri wananchi wote ambao tarehe 9 Disemba 2025 hawatakuwa na dharura kuitumia siku hiyo kwa mapumziko, hivyo kusherehekea siku hiyo wakiwa nyumbani, isipokuwa kwa wale ambao majukumu yao ya kazi yanawataka kuwepo katika vituo vyao vya kazi kama ambavyo wataelekezwa na viongozi wao.
Behind the facade of a poorly run election, Suluhu's regime has overthrown the constitution, weaponized state institutions to crush democratic demand, and engineered family rule.
Tanzania is confronting not just a political dispute, but a human rights catastrophe, rooted in systemic impunity, militarization, and an elite family rule.
Down with Samia, down.
Down.
Down with Samia, down.
Down.
Watanzania waungane wasiungane.
Waungane.
Watanzania wasimamie haki zao wasisimame.
Wasimame.
We demand the guarantees that the security services must act with restraint and within the law in protecting the fundamental rights and freedoms of citizens, especially at the time when state authority is weakened by legitimacy crisis.
As Kenyans and East Africans, we want to assure Tanzanians that we stand with them during this difficult time, and tomorrow we will be in solidarity, we will be with them in prayer and also in action.
From Tanzania now to Kenya as it deploys more police officers to control Haiti's gangs. And Kenya deployed hundreds of additional police officers to relieve law enforcement, ending their mission in Haiti on Monday, aiming to maintain pressure on the island's gangs as the country's ongoing political and security crisis continues unabated. Criminal gangs have long ravaged Haiti, causing strife and instability that has only worsened since early 2024, when they forced then Prime Minister Ariel Henry to resign. Now, the United Nations estimates the armed groups now control 90% of the capital, Port-au-Prince, where murders, rapes, looting, and kidnappings are rampant amid chronic political instability. And to aid overwhelmed Haitian police, the UN Security Council in 2023 approved sending a multinational security mission to the country led by Kenya. However, the under-equipped, underfunded team, which has only about 1,000 of the 2,500 officers, is expected has fallen short of addressing the colossal challenge. On Monday, 230 Kenyan police officers arrived in Haiti, while 100 others ended their mission, a Haitian government source told AFP, under condition of anonymity. At the end of September, the UN Security Council approved the development of a more robust anti-gang force in Haiti. The poorest country in the Americas, Haiti has not held elections in 9 years and is currently under a transitional government. Legislative and presidential elections have been slated for summer 2026. And away from that, now to election stakeholders have demanded the arrest of goons who disrupted recent elections. Now, election stakeholders are now demanding the immediate arrest and prosecution of goons who unearthed terror during the just concluded by-elections, with some candidates claiming their lives remain in danger days after the chaos. Addressing a heated post-election review of the November 27 polls, the Inspector General of Police dismissed claims that the government collaborated with goons to rig the elections. Here are the full details to the story.
As I talk, after voting, I could not go home. After I was announced the winner, my family cannot access home. And we are here playing like, is it goonism ni mchezo tu?
The political violence, I think IBC should take charge completely. They've got the rules and regulations governing the election.
The head of these goons are the police service. That is the truth. I have had incidences where I was accompanying my party leader in different incidences where the police are actually part of the goons.
I saw weapons that I have never seen, and as a woman, I am here to speak about women. I witnessed women going back and did not vote.
You always call on us to come and cover your events, but whenever there are political activities, we do so in fear, because when going for that assignment, at the back of our minds, we know that we'll either be attacked by the police, the politicians, or the goons.
If 22 by-elections can have the effect that we had, especially in terms of malpractices, what do you think is going to happen in 1,882 polling areas or electoral areas in 2027?
I don't know whether those goons have specific labels for the officers to know that these goons belongs to the government, these goons belongs to the other party.
As for the goons, as I have said, they have got no space here, and we are not going to allow, not under my watch. And I'm going to be very strong. To steal election in this country is an impossibility. These returning officers here can confirm to you, even observers, honest observers will tell you.
And IEBC now has raised a concern over low youth voter registration and clashes with young voters. Now, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has raised a red flag over the small number of youth who have so far turned up to either register as voters and those who voted during the just concluded by-elections. The youth and the IEBC commissioners who attended the post-by-election conference yesterday clashed over their involvement in the election processes. Here are some of the pictures from yesterday's engagement.
In this election we have just presided over, it was really pathetic. Very few young people came out to vote. A large number of them were old people, and in very north where I was, among the old people, the majority were even women.
Kindly, the young people, let us come out and register, and let us prepare to vote come 2027.
Come to TikTok and tell us why we need to vote.
No, just for information, we are now on TikTok already. So
Asante, but I've seen you have 1,000 followers only, and your content is a little bit very rigid. It's very formal.
You need to include us in that. We don't even know even hata kama sisi ndio wana discuss how they will eat us.
We also have to hear what they are saying there.
The 5%, you expect me 5% to go leave everything else I'm doing that I've been used to doing, do TikTok, do whatnot, so that...
I am astonished by our old mzee, and I respect elder members of the society. But you are bringing jokes here. You are in your political twilight. This is our future.
Heshima mwanzo, mengi yatafuata. Lakini ukija kwa kifua, kwa sababu wewe ni kijana, hata hao wote hawakuzaliwa wazee.
That now to EACC recovers 3.4 billion out of 22.9 billion graft proceeds traced in 12 months. And the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, has announced it recovered 3.4 billion in assets during the year ending June out of 22.9 billion in graft proceeds traced during the period, marking one of its strongest annual asset recovery performances. Now, the Commission further said proactive investigations and integrity tests averted a potential loss of 16.5 billion in public funds. In its 2024-2025 annual performance summary released on Monday, EACC said the figures underline growing gains in investigations, prosecutions, prevention measures, and public education as it intensified its anti-graft drive nationwide. Now, the Commission said it processed 4,183 corruption reports, of which 1,846 were taken up for investigation, reflecting a continued rise in public willingness to report graft. Bribery remained the most reported offense at 37%, followed by embezzlement of public funds at 19%, unethical conduct 13%, fraudulent acquisition, disposal of public property 10%, and other economic crimes at 21%, such as procurement fraud, money laundering, abuse of office, and conflict of interest. During the year, EACC had 838 ongoing investigations and forwarded 175 files to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution for action. On prevention, the agency reported substantial gains, citing 14 proactive investigations and 166 integrity tests that prevented the loss of 16.5 billion, at the highest level of averted losses in recent years. Here are the full details to the story.
While we celebrate these successes, it must not be lost on us that the fight is far from over. Corruption remains a dynamic and persistent threat that adapts to our defenses.
Sometimes we have seen situations where the process, like our CEO has mentioned, through which cases are taken, sometimes do not meet the threshold that we expected. And so the push or the desire for the Commission to have prosecutorial powers is basically to inject some level of efficiency so that once cases are investigated, like we do with civil cases.
There's a file with the DPP, in fact 2 files on Marsabit County. There are 2 files we are just concluding, one on Mandera County and another one on Garissa. We also have started investigations in Isiolo County. So it is not that we are targeting specifically those counties.
It is very sad that even very senior people in government are operating under false documents, forged certificates. It is an embarrassment to our society. If you want academic qualifications, we have more than enough universities in this country.
The news that's making headlines in the country this morning. When we come back, we're coming back with the dailies. Keep it signs and we'll be back after the break.